Joining us now, he is from The Ringer and also literally all over the internet on Twitter, because I refuse to call it X. You guys know him. You guys love him. You might even have some weird aspirations to be like him, and that's okay too. Yeah, this Sunday is going to be NXT Great American Bash. So here to talk about it with us is the one and only Cameron Hawkins. How you doing, C-Hawk?
I'm doing well, my brothers. How are y'all this morning?
We're doing good.
Doing well. Thank you for joining us, Cam.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just going to say we're here to talk about NXT Great American Bash, which is, one of their big shows. They're traveling. They don't do too much traveling, but this is one they're traveling outside of Florida. And I'm going to ask a very simple question of what stands out to you on this card, Cam?
It's really two things. One is Roxanne Perez and Blair Davenport. I think that they're kind of getting in early on the idea of we need Roxanne to be taken seriously. Like, we know how good she is. We see the potential. She can do all of the wrestling already. But when it's time for her to move up, we need to make sure she's taken seriously. Like, you look at some of the smaller women that they've had, like Liv Morgan, they're almost there, I think. Injury starts and stops, it really sucks. But they've had to really had her get in there and get crazy physical with Ronda. And to me, it took so long to get going on exactly what they wanted her to be. So I think with Roxanne, they're getting in early. Let's make her physical. Let's show that she can really get in there and mix it up and be mean. So I think there's an investment there. The other thing on the other side, Gable Steveson and Baron Corbin. They got a lot invested in Gable Steveson. And I don't just mean money. I went to the NIL dinner in January where they had a bunch of their NIL athletes from cheerleading, football, track and field, gymnastics, basketball, everything. And one of the things that they stressed big was Gable Steveson, All-American, Olympian, he's coming. And I don't even know if these kids know who Gable Steveson is, but it's hey, we have this All-American athlete known the world over. He's right down the road as far as when he's going to be up and going. And that was January. You know what I mean? So it being late July now, I think that there's really a push to make him a big deal, make him a success, to keep that pipeline going. And so you put him in there with Baron Corbin, who, hey, I've always been a fan. The character hasn't always worked, but you look at what he did in there with Melo just recently, very, very good stuff. And so I think you get the good match out of Steveson and you keep that train rolling that direction. Because again, a big deal of him succeeding is not just about making money right now. It's about keeping that pipeline of D1 athletes going.
I want to go back to Roxanne Perez for a second. I think maybe you did hit the nail on the head with wanting to take her more seriously as a character, wanting fans to take her more seriously. We saw back towards Stand and Deliver, there was the storyline with her and her anxiety and everything that happened with the match with Meiko Satomura, where she lost and collapsed, and it was a whole situation there that led to a booking that didn't really make a lot of sense. Talk to me about your feelings about not just the anxiety angle, but also just kind of your feelings as to how NXT and WWE will want us to take her more seriously following the way she was booked coming out of Stand and Deliver.
I think that they're still asking certain wrestlers to do a bit too much acting. It's a serious thing, but not serious in the sense of it shouldn't be talked about. I just think that's a heavy thing to carry. They had the backstage segment where she's in the office with Sean and really stressing to him, this is what I want. I can do this. I can go. And I just thought they might have laid that on a bit too thick. Hey, I grew up a theater kid, so I love that NXT is theater in a bunch of different ways. But I thought in that particular instance, when you have somebody right there at the top of the card, I thought it was too early to mess with what she was doing. I think there's nothing wrong with being plucky, fight from under champion, which she was at the time. And I think that the all of a sudden pivot, at Stand and Deliver to get a bunch of people into the match, I think not knowing exactly what the situation was, her and Tiffany Stratton main event in that, well, at least being the women's title match, I thought that was a no-brainer. I thought that's who you go with one-on-one. So yeah, I do think there's still an effort maybe to stack the card a little bit. It's our first time doing this really, really big show. We want to make sure everybody gets in. They're young. They'll have their time. But yeah, again, with her booking specifically, in the moment, I thought that it was interesting and that you see how Book reacted, you know, being like one of her trainers, and it was all very serious. But I thought that the follow-up to it did not really share the magnitude of what happened in the moment. And so got to be careful doing stuff like that, especially with your wrestlers who aren't necessarily actors.
At least he waited until Cam was done with his, comment there.
Listen, okay?
That was not us.
It's the worst. Like, I made a bad decision. And the funny thing is, like, of course, me and Sean have a good laugh about it, but it's like, I like jokes that I share with my friends. And oh, fuck, he's here. Oh, God. Okay. All right.
You just figured it out, did you?
Because I'm like looking off into space telling the story, right? He's here. All right.
That's what I said. That was not us, Cam. We did not put that on the
Oh.
screen.
Then I'm okay. I was gonna. Hey, I like you guys. I'm gonna forgive you guys. But what happened was we're at the Royal Rumble. We're in the press box.
Speak carefully.
It's me. It's my old lady. It's Dave LaGreca. It might be like two people between us, and then it's Denise, and then it's Sean. So Sean's eating something. I don't know if it was actually a glizzy at the moment. Sean's eating something. And I was like, baby, I'm going to catch him taking a big bite of this food, and it's going to be hilarious. So I take my phone, I turn, I'm recording it, and Sean looks over like, what are you doing?
So let me tell you what happened immediately after that nobody knows about. Cam, in an effort to one-up me, went and like he didn't even use like forks or tongs or anything. I see him come out and he's got two glizzies, like you know how you pinch the ends of them because they smell kind of funny, right? And I saw him do one of these and just drop it in, and he looked at me from across and he goes, "Every time is like the first time." And I said, what? At the Rumble, we're like 15 deep in the Royal Rumble.
So
he says this. He looks at me and he says this.
Is that true, Cam? Can we?
I can neither confirm nor deny. I don't want to give too much away about my level of excitement for certain things.
There was
we'll just let it breathe.
Cam messaged me and he goes, "Let me know if the glizzy jokes are too much." And I said,
yeah, and I should have known. He didn't mean like, no, it's cool, we're having a good time. He meant, I got you, motherfucker. I got you. This is it. This is a wrap. And it's been funny because, like, again, like I like jokes with my friends. Sean is my friend. But it's like random, you know, AEW Forever 92. We're like jumping on the joke. And like I just do it random, like, yo, it's not fucking funny. I don't know you. And they don't know what to do. They're like, oh, I didn't but Sean in the joke, and all right, this is just Sean's joke. It's not your joke. And then they're just stuck. And I just laugh at them for hours because they're
not at that level of comfortability. I'm not cool with that either.
We don't kick it like that.
I report truth. What they report is just conjecture of things that they haven't personally witnessed and experienced in their day job.
You are a bottom 4 human being all time.
Yeah. Definitely.
Probably bottom 2. I gotta go to my Excel spreadsheet. But yeah, he's a horrible human.
To be honest, the first time I had a hot dog that was intended to be an actual hot dog, it changed my life.
I mean, hey, listen, summers in Texas playing football, you know, your parents both work full time. You're back and forth between 2-a-days. That's what's in the fridge. You tearing up a hot dog. You cutting that thing down the middle. You're broiling it in the oven if your mother trusts you. It took me a couple of years. Put a little Old Bay on there, some barbecue sauce. You're set. And then turn on Jerry Springer. Perfect.
I have multiple friends that are on Jerry or that have been on Jerry Springer.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, running into somebody in Kentucky that's been on Jerry Springer is not like a huge accomplishment. It's pretty common. I mean, I came from,
right, isn't it?
I lived in a very small town, and at least 4 people had been on Jerry Springer. Like they made that trip to go up there, and it was so funny because I would learn about it like wrestling. I'd be like, "Oh, how do they work this angle with you guys? How'd they do it?" They would tell me.
My mother had a friend who was on, I think it was Ricky Lake. And the title of the episode was like, I'm ashamed of my race.
Oh no.
Jeez.
But they actually bumped her to the following week's show. And so the whole time she was on stage, she was like, no, this wasn't my week. I'm not ashamed of my race. I'm just embarrassed by my race. And it was like, bitch, that's not a different thing.
It's not.
Your light hatred is still really, really bad. Like, what are you talking about? So
there's a very talented local rapper. His name is Lil Boneface. He was actually very good, but he was like probably 5'6" and just ripped, jacked. And the title of the episode of Jerry Springer was "I'm fat, but you're fatter. It's over." It's like, my God, what more do they want from this man?
I'm more interested in the backstory of why he's named Little Boneface.
Oh no, he's very good though. He did like an indie movie recently. He's a very
not
nice guy.
fat though. Like,
no, you see him, right? Like,
yeah.
You see him?
Yeah.
He's not at all.
So I don't know how that one makes any sense, but sure.
Yeah, but
not at all.
Cam, thank you so much. We're gonna have an article up on Fightful from Cam on Saturday.
I thought you were going to say it's an article on the Glizzy stuff off of this interview.
Right?
I get a headline out of a lot of things, Sean. So.
Listen, I feel like that for what Cam did with his Sting article, that would be the Fightful equivalent. If like on Memorial Day or 4th of July one year or Labor Day, he's got like top Glizzy eating moments on wrestling TV.
I don't stand for the anthem, but I definitely stood for the hot dog contest on the
Yeah.
You know, that's what America's really about.
That's a real sport right there.
True.
Megabyte Ronnie is shaking right now.
Oh, he should be. He should be.
He was in my hometown this week. He was eating at Wellington Diner. Yeah. He was like, I told him, I'm going there this weekend. He's like, oh, go to the Wellington Diner and tell him Megabyte Ronnie sent you. And I wanted to be like, buddy, I grew up there. Like, chances are someone I know works there. Love that man. Anyway,
Megabyte Ronnie's great. We were going to do a hot dog eating contest this year, and then I had an incident in training. I needed better Glizzy practice, and so we switched.
No, slow down. You had an incident in training? Stop. Don't bury the lead.
So here's what happened. Because this is actually like kind of for the wife is actually like kind of horrifying. I was doing this bit where I was like going to catch a hot dog in my mouth, and I didn't catch it properly and didn't throat it correctly, and it almost turned out very bad. So we were like, no, can't really do that. It's tough. Like you got to know how to take a hot dog correctly.
Evidently you do. My God. Oh no. Whew.
It's tough. So I could not do a hot dog incident after going through that and having a near-death experience trying to catch this hot dog in my mouth. I was like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do a hot dog eating contest.
I respect the professionals in that space. Again, there's a reason that their jerseys are going to be in the rafters eventually, and so I defer to them, man. Shout out to Nyla Rose for my fantastic birthday cameo from Sarah J. Again, we respect the vets. We hold them in high regard for sure.
That's right. They know what they're doing. Let them do what they do. Okay. Don't try this at home. And if you do, you'll end up like Jeremy Lambert.
It's not good. Ronnie tried to warn me too. He was like, don't go too fast or anything. I was just doing a bit for, let me catch it in my mouth. This will be funny. And then it turned out not to be very funny.
All right, we got to move on. We got to keep talking about Great American Bash. As much as I want to talk about glizzies and parasocial relationships and how weird people can be on the internet, I think I'd rather talk about what's going on Sunday. Jeremy, give me a question. Hit Cam with a question.
I was going to ask about Tiffany Stratton because I don't think this is a spoiler. You do have an interview article coming out on Tiffany Stratton. She was part of the NXT 2.0 crop. She popped up shortly after NXT became NXT 2.0. Now she's the champion. Everybody's ready for her to pretty much come off my main roster. Very good worker, has her character down, defined, knows exactly who she is. one, if you give us some insight into, tease the article, tease the interview a little bit, but just Tiffany's growth, and now she has this this big match at Great American Bash defending her title.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, we actually did two different things. So with Tiffany, we went just straight podcast. And so after this show, not during, but after this show, if you go to SoundCloud and search out South Congress with a K, you can check that out. And then we're going to do a live stream at noon on my YouTube channel. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can kind of follow along with that. Really, the cool thing about her ain't a whole lot of fluff to her. Like, came from gymnastics, came from bodybuilding, was like, yo, I get it. And the real cool thing, she was doing the trampoline. And so she's like, yo, moonsault came to me. Immediately could do that because that was already what I had going on. Very, very confident in her abilities. Knows she picked it up really quickly. One thing she did kind of talk about that I thought was really cool was, there was a bit of, maybe infighting isn't the word, but there was a little tension between the women who came in who already wrestled and the women who came in from sport or elsewhere, right? But she's like, that's cool now, because if you're good, you're good, And again, confident in what she does. What I thought was really cool, she talks about coming in and wanting to be like the badass character. Like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to be a badass. She looked around, she was like, everybody's a badass. So what can I do that's different? So, daddy's little girl, Tiffany Stratton, that came from Jessica. That's Jessica's mind wanting to separate herself. And immediately it stood out. You know what I mean? So I think that, almost ready is tough, because you want to see them in the ring with the big crowd. But that's what she wants. She's very clear about that. Cool as Florida is, cool as the Eastern Seaboard is, I love Sand and the Liver. I can't wait for Great American Bash, because I want to be in there with that big crowd. So when I hit those big moves, they react. When I do something nasty, they react. So yeah, man, I think she's as ready as anybody. She's fun to watch, man. I first thing I asked her, I was like, yo, what you think about the nicknames? She was like, what nicknames? And I was like, yo, Stratton Omega, Stratton Danielson. She was like, I have not heard any of those. Like, they're all from me. But, again, it's an appreciation of how quickly you picked it up and how crisp you already are at what you do. So, yeah.
Speaking of people who came in around that same time and had to prove to a lot of people, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, they're about to partake in that 8-person tag that's going to be the Metaphor. So Noam Dar, Oral Mensa, and the two aforementioned women. They're taking on Dragon Lee, Nathan Frazier, and then Ulyssa Leon and Valentina Feroz. Talk to me. I know you've been a big Lash Legend supporter.
Lash Legend. That's how you got to say it. Lash Legend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
conversations. Go ahead.
With Jakara Jackson, they held off for a long time, waited and waited and waited and waited. I think that's a great fit. Oral Mensa, Noam Dar, and Lash Legend. Noam Dar is, of course, like a vet, but everybody else is figuring this thing out. So give me somebody to play off of. Lash and Jakara, similar personalities. It's great watching them go. I think this is good in that they tried to bring up too many people as individual talents to start, right? I thought one of the beauties of NXT was, you can have a bunch of tag teams and people won't think it's weird that you threw people together because they don't know these people, right? They're brand new. It's not weird, like throwing them together as a tag team. But I think they've been really fun to watch. Noam Dar, like, I guess the NXT audience really is like a bunch of 50-year-old guys, right? Like, that's like their kind of average viewer. They saw Weekend at Bernie's and Weekend at Bernie's too. So he's killing it. I love it. It's great. But yeah, I think that while somebody like Tiffany Stratton has proven that they can already go out there and handle it on their own, I thought they were doing right by Nikita Lyons, putting her with Zoe Stark early on, because, Zoe Stark knows exactly what she's doing. Let's slow this down. Like, Caden and Katana, like, great pairing, because Caden, again, you know exactly what you're doing. You can do all the moves. It looks legit. It took Katana a little while, and now they're on the main roster flourishing because she has that person to play off of. Yeah, I think it's really good for them. And I just like fun. Like, sometimes it's okay to be fun. And Lash has like this really big personality. that, is kind of, to me, the focal point of the group, but everybody else is like doing their part both in the ring and in these skits and how they perform around the ring. Yeah, I think it's a really good pairing for them. I'm excited to watch, in particularly, like Lash's progression, because again, like this is somebody, college basketball star coming from the WNBA. If you follow me at all, you know how into former athletes that turn wrestler I am, because I think that they have a unique set of skills and they've been in the spotlight as individual talents before. It's just a matter of time before they pop. So yeah.
Let's talk about the main event. Dirty Dom defending. This is the true main event. Dirty Dom defending the NXT North American title against Wesley and Mustafa Ali. We've seen a lot of kind of main roster people come down to NXT, various success. Sometimes just a one-off, sometimes it's more storyline. Corbin, of course, has the match against Stevenson. What do you make of the main roster people coming down, and specifically Dom coming down, winning this title, and being part of a kind of really inserting himself in this thing that was going on between Lee and Ali and ending Lee's historic reign?
He's such a scumbag. I love him. He's great, right? And even like right before I get into that, like it's the same match, but Mustafa Ali coming down from the main roster, he just feels like a big deal. And it's not that he's not confident on the main roster, because I think like he's one of the best all-around talents that they have. We're an injury away from his whole trajectory being different, but him in the match with a Dominic, again, Wesley, consummate professional, great before he even got there, can do everything in the ring, has had this amazing North American title run, and separating his title run from Melo's, when at first it felt like a step down going from what Melo was doing to Wesley. The difference is Wesley can do things in volume that very few people can do. They really trust in Dominic and have faith in Dominic because he's been in there with everybody. Your Sami Zayn's, your Seth Rollins's. He's been all his dad at WrestleMania. And now, like, he's both the least experienced but most popular person in a triple threat title match this weekend. I think that I was really high on his in-ring work early on, but that's him with his dad, I don't think he took a step back, but I thought that, when you're not next to Rey Mysterio, some things get exposed. Everything doesn't look as good, but he's worked on his character. His timing's really good. And he's going to be in there with the type of people he was trained to be in there with. Guys who go fast, guys who jump high, guys who don't slow down. And then, you hate to say somebody's being hidden, like how you hide your small defender, you hide your small linebacker by being really good up front, right? I think that with him, they're not going to hide him so much, but he has guys who can go in there and have a great match without him. He's just going to really add to what they do. So it's going to be fun. And listen, that building, I think, is like a 6,000 or 7,000 person building. So HEB Center is not the biggest building. It's going to feel like 20,000 when they start booing that man, and there's that Guerrero Mysterio family Texas connection that's really going to play into, being in Texas. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for his entrance in particular, because, everybody gets a little extra on those pay-per-view entrances. That's going to be really, really fun. Really, I kind of expect him to retain. Even though in the same way that it was real cool for Solo to win the North American Championship as not only storyline, but to have him next to his brothers with a title to show that can be done. It would make sense for them to get that off Dominic and act like he was never there. But man, they can just twist that knife a little bit more by having him carry that thing a little bit longer, I think.
What's interesting is I'm thinking about whether or not they want to give Dom a promo segment before the match, because that would absolutely drive the crowd wild. Or do you want to save it for the entrance where it's the same thing, but man, you put a mic in his hand and it's game over?
Let him win the match and then get on the mic. Oh my God.
And I agree.
Oh my God.
And that's the thing with Judgment Day right now. Their whole thing is, going back to the Undisputed Era style. They wanted that golden prophecy, and they're working on that right now. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you that Dominic Mysterio retaining adds a lot to that story going on literally across all of WWE, not just NXT and Raw, but also coming over to SmackDown now. It's good stuff. The tag title match we don't have to spend too much time on, but come on, we got to talk about Tony D and Stacks. Are they ever going to get prosecuted for their crimes? You got the inside track, Cam.
Listen, man. Listen. I'm not saying I know a bunch of people at the Travis County Detention Center, right? But what I'm hearing is they got some people on standby outside the building just in case. Yeah, again, as campy as it is, I love Tony D. I love Tony D because we're all men of a certain age who grew up on the Godfathers and the Goodfellas and the Casinos and Sopranos, of course. It's just fun, man. It's just fun. Wait a minute, Ryan. I'm not telling. Don't call me crime reporter. It's just fun watching those. And then, like, again, the relationship between him and Stacks, that they do buddy comedy well. Tony D having an amateur background is like the weirdest thing because it only comes out ever so often. But man, I want to see those guys commit crimes and live to tell the tale. I really do. I need them to go free. Like Gallus, very fun to watch, very physical, love like that European hard hitting style that they're really into. Man, that is going to be I don't want to say banger, I don't want to say a lie. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see it. I want to see Tony D and Stack stand tall and then evade the authorities on the way out the building.
We got a super chat from Chi-Town Spurs earlier that's he said he wants to know, do you think Ariana Grace would do well with Tony D and Stacks when she's healthy? I like the idea. They kind of started when they did the Welcome Back Tony D segment. They started bringing out certain people that we may not know but are involved in the PC. You think Ariana Grace is one of those people who could possibly show up there?
Guys, she's hilarious. I mean, like as a human being, she's a hilarious person. I met her at Wale Mania. We're getting people back and forth backstage and VIP rooms and all that. And she's just like, remember, I'm Ariana with the hat. And she's wearing like this red beret. And so every time I see her the entire night, she's like, Cam, Ariana with the hat. Hilarious person, right? Of course, she gets it honest, right? I feel like because she can do like comedy as a like natural human being, she would be able to jump in the camp, like the campy type stuff that they do with them. She would be really fun to see with them. I think so. Absolutely.
Last one, Carmelo Hayes. I think everybody is high on Carmelo Hayes, rightfully so, especially the character work that he has down. The in-ring work, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad or anything like that. We saw a really good glimpse of what I think his in-ring work can be against Finn Balor. The matches on NXT, this is no fault of his own. He's faced guys like Noam Dar, Baron Corbin, Braun Breaker. None of these guys are like bad or anything. Ilya Dragunov is a different level when it comes to that intensity that I think Carmelo might be missing a little bit. And again, we saw it against Balor. I think Ilya is a guy that can really bring that out of him. And now we're going to see it in a more extended period here because the Balor match was like 8, 9, maybe 10 minutes. This I expect they'll get like 15 minutes or so. What are you expecting from this match? And what are you looking for in particular from Carmelo?
So you know how Jaylen Brown can't dribble left?
Yes, as I do. Joel Pearl has no idea who this person is, but yes, I know who Jaylen Brown is. I got you,
Dick. But
so he's never had to dribble left. You know what I mean? Like it's when we point out, and you're not doing this, Jeremy, just to add on, but when we point out something somebody doesn't have, like what's considered a deficiency, it's like, well, has anybody exposed that? Right? The thing with Melo, like being kind of the best person in the ring all the time, you don't necessarily get to see how good somebody is. Dragunov is one of my favorite wrestlers in the entire world. If for no other reason than when you look at how he fights, not wrestles, but how he fights, he's prepared to hurt too. Like the suicide dive is like the most overused move in wrestling, like regardless of company, right? And they call it suicide dive because it's supposed to hurt you too. It's like, no, you just kind of lean into the guy and you pop up and you're fine. Every single thing Dragunov does is going to hurt Dragunov too, but he knows it's going to hurt you worse. It's beautiful. It is violent. It's nasty. I love to see it. And so Melo, who has, for a lot of times, like been able to finesse through matches based on opponent, right? When you look at him and like Roddy Strong, though, like that's when it was like, all right, we're digging into this. Like, we're getting there, right? And to me, this is somebody of a similar vein who everything hurts, everything's crisp, there's no air in what you see. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to see Melo, in there with that, because, Melo, Braun, Tiffany Stratton, like, those are the three that I really look at, that the company's like, they came through our pipeline. We taught them, how we want things to be. It's very important to get them the screen time. Yeah, I'm hyped for it, man, because again, I have the utmost confidence in Melo's abilities, but I also do want to see him in there against the very best. And so, man, knockdown, drag out. If Melo's showing a little blood and winning the match, I think would do a lot for him. I look at what Foley did for Triple H. Triple H was good. Nobody doubted Triple H was good. But Triple H growing that beard and coming out to that hard rock music and carrying around, sledgehammers and wearing 8 leather jackets, that's a byproduct of him and Foley getting in there and going crazy. And so Melo, who is cool and collected, him really getting in there in a knockdown, drag out fight and coming out the back end, the winner, I think would do wonders for him going forward.
So with all that in mind, and we've run down the entire card, do you see any titles changing hands this weekend?
I never see titles changing hands at NXT shows. That's the hard part, right? I see them changing hands at Stand and Deliver, because to me, like, that's the reset every year, right? Don't see Melo losing. Definitely don't see Tiffany Stratton losing. I'll tell you what. So Tony D and Stacks, that's a title match, right?
Yeah, tag
I got Tony D and Stacks with the tag titles, because with Gallus, as good as they are, they're not an act that needs the titles. They just need fights, with the Creed brothers, moving up. I think it's time to switch that to what's considered a face team and let them go through, some heels. Let them have some real good matches against some heels. And then Gallus, like, as much as I like them, I don't know if they necessarily need to be doing anything at NXT. I don't think they're going to learn anything in NXT. You don't stop being European because you're in NXT. So I could see them being a good team on Raw who could use, listen, the Viking Raiders are washed. And I never thought I'd say that, because I love those guys coming in. I loved them when they first got to the main roster. I was even good with the comedy stuff they did with Street Profits. They're washed, man. I don't know if they can get that back in any way. Like, I don't know. So, hey, bring up some more guys who are really good and real physical. But tag titles, best chance. I don't see any of the singles titles changing hands. So
I got. Well, we're done. We're done with wrestling. I can't have Cam on and not talk like hoops and stuff a little bit. Particularly this thing. It's not even like basketball related. So when my kind of worlds collided was on Twitter when I saw you interacting with a man named Snotty Drippin, who the Meet Me in Temecula.
The Temecula man.
Yes, Snotty Drippin. Yes. That is when I saw just my two worlds colliding, because I'm inundated in the basketball Twitter. And I was like, wait a second.
So, what's my man's name? Nikias Duncan and my
awesome.
Man Chris Jones run the Dunker Spot podcast, right?
Yeah.
So Chris actually lives in Round Rock, like in my suburb, right?
Okay.
And me and Shay Serrano are like friends. It's the coolest thing in the world. Like, we took our ladies to lunch last week. It was awesome. So like basketball Twitter is, runs right there with Black Twitter, and Black Twitter runs with me, and I run with wrestling. And so it all kind of came together. Like, even with the Dunker Spot, they kind of reached out to me about like platforms, and like, that's why they do StreamYard, because I put them on StreamYard. So it's all my NBA team, the San Antonio Spurs, of course. But it all runs together, man. And it's been really cool. Of course, the Ringer affiliation is when me and Shay Link, both from San Antonio. But yeah, it's one big community, and it's really cool. But yeah, this Snotty Drippin, who informs me a lot, because earlier on in Twitter, when this thing started to kind of jump off for me, I'm not used to white people talking crazy to me. I'm not. It doesn't happen in real life. right? But on the internet, it's just a different level of bold and comfort. So me, I was like, all right, let's fight. Like, let's go do it, right? Like, I was like, all right, I'll tell you where I'm at. We can do this if you feel that strong about it. And then, you know, I see the mature people like Snotty, like, yo, just because we disagree, like, what are we doing? Like, this is just the internet. Like, calm down, bro. So I've tried to calm down, bro. But yeah, man, all those guys are great. Like Monica McNutt is friends with like my cousin I grew up with in Maryland. So yeah, it's all like the smallest world. But it's been really fun interacting with those guys, and everybody's kind of found success at the same time. It's a lot like blog era rap in that you guys were all starting podcasts and stuff at the same time, and now everybody's kind of eating, everybody's getting on TV and radio and writing, and yeah, it's been really fun. They should all give me some of their money, but yeah, until that happens, it's fun being a community for sure.
If you are a basketball fan and you're not following Nikias, he's one of like the smartest dudes on basketball. Like his breakdowns of the X's and O stuff, which I really like. Like he's so smart on Twitter, and then if he does a video or a podcast or anything like that. But Snotty is he is hilarious, and that's when I thought like I made it on like basketball Twitter, because I wrote for like Fansided and things like that. And he's a Westbrook. Yeah, he's a Westbrook fan as well, and of course Thunder fan. I was riding with Russ all the time. So
he was my favorite player for almost a decade, and so like watching him against the Spurs broke my heart a bunch of times. But yeah, Russ and KD was a freshman when I was a senior, and so we used to be like around campus together. So yeah, I like the Thunder again until they play San Antonio. And yo, we had them in 2013, man. You understand how that ball was moving around the court? I've never seen anything as pretty as Spurs ball movement 2013 or 2012. I'm sorry. And we were just everywhere. And the Thunder were like, well, we're just going to shoot lights out. We don't care how well you're moving the ball. KD's not going to miss. Harden's not going to miss. Russ is not going to miss. Enjoy your summer. So yeah, fun times.
I mean, look, you got titles. We got nothing. We were sometimes a laughing stock of like, how did you not win with these three guys? It's like, well, what can you do?
You got a good future though, man. You got a good future. You got.
We're hoping. I mean, so do the Spurs. Wemby. I mean, look, you got the guy who is supposed to be the next guy. So we'll see how it goes. But that's
why I don't complain. Like as bad as 2012 was, us being bad for 5 years or so. Never heard a word out of me, because you know what? We had the most incredible run. And like, I graduated high school 2003. So we win the championship in 99. My first summer at UT, we're in the dorms watching us win. We win 05, we win 07, we win 14. I'm good. Like, we don't have to be good again. Fine. It's okay. It's okay. I'll go watch the Commanders stink it up for another 30 years. It's fine. It's perfect.
Louis is the one good playoff run from Harden. Yeah, and then he sucked in the finals. That's the reason not the only reason. Kendrick Perkins being the starting five against that Miami team was not helpful, but James Harden giving them nothing was also not helpful. And Caden sends a super chat, just says, my dog.
Hi, Caden. I'll see you maybe later tonight. Maybe tomorrow we'll hang out. We'll do something.
Can you punch him?
He's a sweet kid. He just wears those stupid ass blue Crocs all the time. We're getting you. Me and Mandy have decided we're getting him real shoes. Like, bro, like we went to an indie show, Inspire AD, like 2 weeks ago, and we're kicking it. Like, I'm introducing him to Kevin Knight. He's a big Kevin Knight fan. We're hanging out. We're taking pictures, and Caden has those damn blue Crocs on. I'm not introducing him to anybody else I know if he wears those fucking shoes. We're getting you real shoes. We're really outside. Punch him. Can't punch a kid. He's 20. I'll just put him in a little headlock. I got him.
That's fair. That's fair.
You little noogie through that whole thing. All right, that's fine. Cam, you got so much going on. Thank you for coming on, joining us. Plug what you got going on. Tell them again what's happening in New World.
Absolutely. And so yeah, as soon as these guys are done, not a second before, you can listen to my interview with Tiffany Stratton on South Congress podcast. It's South Congress with a K, wherever you listen to podcasts, at noon today. We're going to do the video version of that on YouTube. I'll do a live stream if you subscribe to me. If you follow me on Twitter, you can definitely just watch it live there. And then tomorrow morning, Stars Earn Stripes. It's a look back at some of, to me, the most informative main events from Great American Bash history. I broke down Ric Flair and Luger from 88. I broke down Paige and Savage from 97, and then Cena Lashley from 07. So just like some really interesting matches. It kind of told you in a similar way to NXT, because I'm so into NXT. You're watching these new acts, you put them in there with your very top talent. And then, I kind of looked at where it took them from there. It wasn't always instant success, but you did kind of see what their trajectory was. And if you're an Air Force kid, I talked some Thunderbirds and Blue Angels. So yeah, it was really fun. But that'll be tomorrow morning on Fightful. A very long read because the other guy pays me by the word. But if you have the time Saturday morning, get your coffee. And it should be a fun read. Again, Stars Earn Stripes. And then if you are at the HEB Center Sunday, if you're in Austin, in and around this weekend, you see me in the streets, man, doing my thing. So it should be a good time getting to Great American Bash weekend.
Enjoy the weekend, Cam. Thank you again for joining us this morning. And yeah, we appreciate it. And go check out all of Cam's work, especially the Stars and Stripes. I'm sure I'll get a first look at that and I'll read it before everybody else and praise it.
Thank you so much, guys. You guys have a great rest of your day, great show, and great weekend. All right.
Thanks, Cam. Have a good weekend, buddy.
Take care.
There we go. Cam Hawkins, the man.